Live from above the rink at T-Mobile Arena, this is the VGK Insiders Show with Daren Millard and Ryan Wallace on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Welcome in, Vegas Golden Knights Insider Show, Fox Sports Las Vegas. Ryan Wallace, Daren Millard hanging out inside T-Mobile Arena. Jared Justice, he's back inside the Richard Harris Law Firm studios. It's a game day. How we doing, boys?
Not just game day, but it's game 5.
It is game 5.
Which equals where Vegas went a year ago. So they are guaranteed to play longer into the playoffs than they were a season ago.
Yeah.
They've already won more games than they won a season ago in the Stanley Cup playoffs. But this is also the last game in this series in which there's no serious, significant consequences to the night. There's big effects. There's cause and effect to it, but this is the last time that these two teams will play where it's not an elimination game.
Right.
The winner tonight will be within one game of the Western Conference Final, and you got to get your mind right, because when you get your mind right, they say your body will follow. You know who said that?
No.
Snoop Dogg.
Really?
Yeah.
Which song?
You got to get your mind right, because when you get your mind right, they say your body will follow. And I'm leaning into that. I know he's a SoCal guy, but this is a fun series so far between these two teams. And Anaheim with all the youth and Vegas with so much experience. We'll see who gets their mind right and the body follows. The Golden Knights have been trending in the right direction. Played 2 really good games at Honda Center. The data says they deserve to win both of those games. They got the split out of there. They should be feeling really good about their game, in control of their game. A lot of individuals feel really good about their game. So I'm confident about where the Golden Knights are at right now coming into Game 5.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think if you look at the series as it's gone along from Games 1, 2, 3, and 4, the Golden Knights have gotten better as the series has gone on. I think the Ducks' best games were in Game 1 and 2 here inside T-Mobile Arena. It certainly didn't go their way in Game number 3, and I don't think the Golden Knights were played a bad game in Game number 4, and I don't think the Anaheim Ducks really kind of overwhelmed anyone in Game 4 either. It was more of an even type of game on both sides of the ledger. But
I thought Vegas was the better team in Game 4.
I thought that the Golden Knights had a lot of chances that were left on the table to a certain extent. They just weren't able to finish off some of those plays.
Which leads to the better team.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then from that perspective, like Anaheim got a couple of really good bounces, right? The Granlund goal.
The skipper,
that one is a bounce that probably you cannot replicate again. And then obviously the goal for Alex Killorn kind of kicks off the referee's skate in the corner, and it turns a nothing play into something a little bit more dangerous. So you can certainly look at it from that perspective as a couple of breaks go the Anaheim Ducks' way and they take that game. But again, my larger point is from Game 1 to Game 4 here entering Game number 5, I feel like the Golden Knights have gotten better, and I don't know that I can say the same thing for the Anaheim Ducks.
It's hard for fans to contextualize what happened a year ago against the Edmonton Oilers and compare it to what we're doing and going through right now, because we're into it. We have all the notes. We have different experiences to lean on to go, okay, that happened there and that happened here against the Edmonton Oilers, and trying to put them alongside. But if you place this series, this second round bet, alongside the series against Edmonton from a year ago, this has been much more in the Golden Knights' control. The first game, they got a goalie win. Second game, weren't up to par, but the second game, even though they lost, there was a couple of areas of the game that I liked from the series curtain raiser. And then you got the games against Anaheim, and you took steps along the way. A year ago against Edmonton, you were playing catch-up virtually from the start, just trying to hang around.
Yeah, I mean, the Oilers controlled that series pretty much from start to end, right? And that was the story of that series specifically. And, you know, you look at the Golden Knights over the last 2 games in that series, they couldn't find the back of the net. They weren't able to convert on the chances that they had in front of the goal. Then you look even at game number 4, where are the Golden Knights scoring from? They're scoring from right in front of the net. They are winning the battle in front of the blue paint in their own zone and in the offensive zone, and that is starkly different from what it was last year against the Edmonton Oilers.
And right now, there's a couple of good performances happening across the Stanley Cup playoffs, but there's no line that's hotter than that Karlsson, Marner, and Howden unit. Now, what they've going on in Carolina right now, with what Blake is doing and Hall and Stankoven, that's been impressive.
Yeah.
That's their second line playing like a first line. We're seeing the same type of thing. So you can lean into, you've got one of the hottest threesomes in the National Hockey League going for you in this series.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, William Karlsson, since coming back into the lineup, has just looked more and more every day like William Karlsson, which is astounding for him to come in and be that impactful. Then you've got Mitch Marner, who's got 6 goals and 16 points in his first 10 playoff games for the Vegas Golden Knights, like getting the job done. He's hitting every note that you need him to. And as far as Brett Howden goes, like, this is what Brett Howden does in the postseason. He finds a way to be impactful. He does a lot of little things really well. Forecheck pressure is always really good with Howden, but he goes to the front of the net. He's hard to move. He plays with an edge, and he just finds a way to score playoff goals. That's what he's been able to do throughout his entire career.
I did a deep dive on Brett Howden today.
Did you?
And it's I was researching something for our television pregame show, which comes up at 6 o'clock on Script Sports. And when you go through what he's done over the first 2 rounds of the Stanley Cup playoffs, like the totals are good. The raising the level of his overall game from point production to influences on special teams has been really impressive. But he has goals in 6 of the last 7 games. 6 of the last 7 games. Not in the regular season, not in November, not in January, not coming out of an All-Star break, but at the hardest time to play in the year. He has goals in 6 of the last 7 games. And that was before Karlsson was added to his line. They're even more dominant there. But the performances and the timeliness of his production, coupled with the great combination chemistry that he's got with Mitch Marner. Mitch Marner leads the Stanley Cup playoffs in point production right now at 16. He's got a couple of point lead there. That is just incredibly positive. But the complementary production or side-by-side production of where Brett Howden has been able to capitalize on the unique skill set of Mitch Marner has been just as impressive.
Now, where would you rate them in terms of, we were doing the Conn Smythe situation or the idea or the candidates after every round. Now, 4 games deep into this one, are you
not going to say? Not going to say.
You're not going to lean in.
No, it's
no. Okay, fine.
It's
change,
round by round.
Let me change it then. Let me change it from an idea of MVP to where is the impact being felt more? Is it Brett Howden and what he's doing so far through 4 games, or is it more leaning toward Mitch Marner and what he's been able to accomplish?
I don't think you can separate them right now because all of their production is in unison.
See, for me, it's Marner. Like, I think that there has been a step up in terms of what Marner has done in this series, where it's supposed to get harder. Mitch has made the game look easier. And I think that as a driver on the line, I have to lean toward Marner.
Consistency and goal scoring. Those are the 2 hardest things to do in our sports. And right now, at the highest stage, the biggest stage of the National Hockey League in the Stanley Cup playoffs, Brett Howden has scored goals in 6 of his last 7 games. So he's doing them both. But I'm not going to take away from what Mitch Marner's doing. Like leading the Stanley Cup playoffs in point production, being right there in goals as well, is really good. Like it feels like Jack Eichel, who's 3rd in playoff point production right now, is doing it quietly. It's because he's got the 1 and 12, the 13 points coming off 12 assists. He's a playmaker. Mitch Marner is getting a little more attention because he's putting the puck in the net, and then you've got the Brett Howden factor just being like all in being able to finish. And what did they go through a year ago? We talked about that Edmonton series.
Sure.
They had trouble getting that puck right across the line.
Yeah.
And right now, Brett Howden is accomplishing that part of it. You need a finisher. Brett Howden now is this team's finisher.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he leads the Golden Knights in goals with 7. Right behind him is Mitch Marner. Like, the production from that line has been second to none. They have done a great job of finding ways to be impactful inside of the game. And, with all that said, you have to expect that they're going to continue to move the needle that way offensively. It does mean, though, that the Golden Knights are going to need to get more scoring from other areas in the lineup. Can they continue
I knew you would be that way. I knew you would go that way.
What are you talking about?
You can't be happy.
I'm not.
You can't be satisfied. You can't be embracing of a wonderful performance.
It's been a great performance.
You gotta go somewhere else. Like, they can't win without this, that, and the other. Brett Howden is tied for the most goals in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and Mitch Marner leads the Stanley Cups in points, and you're going somewhere else.
I'm not going anywhere else. I'm saying they're doing a great job. However, you're into 5, 6, and 7 in this series, Daren. Like, you're gonna need production from other places.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Why do you need production? The way they're going right now, Dorothy is chipping in along the way. Tomas Hertl just scored the slump breaker.
Right, that's going to be production in other places.
Jack Eichel is third in the playoffs in scoring.
Production in other places.
You got goals from 2 defensemen in the same game in game number 3. There's all that. But people like you just can't help yourself by going down that's prototypical but however, and
exactly my point. They won Game 3 because they got production out of their blue line. They scored a power play goal. Like, I'm just saying, when you are trying to win a series and you are this deep into it.
You're making it sound like they're not getting any other scoring. They are. This team's in a really good spot. Arguably, I would say, as good a place offensively as they've been all year, with production from across the lineup, and that's should mention Markstrom's not going to play tonight.
Yeah.
So that makes it even more imperative they get some scoring, or you lean into a certain place, and I'm all for, with a series tied at 2 and a best of 3. I'll take my chances leaning into being carried by one line the rest of the way, and then reevaluate in the Western Conference Final.
Yeah, I'm saying that line's been tremendous, and I don't expect them to fall off, but I still think you're going to need more in certain situations. I don't think that's the wrong way to look at it.
It's
Marner
a cop-out
and
way to look at it.
In what way?
Because of course you're going to want other
I'm not saying you want it. I'm saying you need it. I think you need goal scoring from your defensemen. I think you need your third and fourth lines to chip in and contribute with a goal here and there. And even though Tomas Hertl scores in game number 4, it's not a third line goal. It's not 5-on-5 in that situation. It's a 6-on-5 goal.
Who cares? He scored.
I understand that. What I'm saying is I think you need more from down your lineup. I just you are going into these massive games where the margins are supposed to be and likely are going to be so incredibly small. If you are getting the production you expect to get out of Marner and Karlsson and Howden, I still think you're going to need at least one more from different areas of your lineup.
Will it be from the top line? Will it be from the third line? Will it be from the fourth line? Where do you want that to come? Where do you expect the help to come for the Karlsson line? I
think the first place you look at is Eichel, Dorofeev, Barbashev, right? Like, those are 3 guys that have been incredibly productive to this point in the postseason. You look at Ivan Barbashev in what we're talking about Brett Howden has done over the last 6 or 7 games. That's what Ivan Barbashev did through the first 6 games of the postseason, right? He had a point in every single game in the first round series against Utah. That was massive. It was incredibly important. I think that there was Jack Eichel, who's continuing to bring in those the points, like they're sticking to Eichel. But I do think that if you can get
Eichel's got points in 3 straight.
Sure, 100%. If you can get that production from that line in conjunction, in concert with what you're getting right now out of Marner and Howden and Karlsson, then you're cooking. I think you're in a great spot.
Jack has points in 8 of 10.
I understand that. I want goals. I want there to be, like, I want in the game Brett Howden to score and a couple of goals for Pavel Dorofeev, or a goal for Pavel Dorofeev, or a goal for Jack Eichel. Give me an Ivan Barbashev
last
goal.
Game.
I understand that.
This is easier than I thought it was going to be.
In what way?
I'm dominating this conversation.
Okay, that's fine.
Honest.
Listen, you know what? If they don't need a goal from any other line, but Karlsson,
I'm pointing out that they're already getting it.
To a certain degree, yes, but they are going to continue to need it. They're going to continue to need more. Yes, they get a goal from Tomas Hertl. Yes, they got a goal from Pavel Dorofeev. That's a power play goal as well.
Do you think there's a spillover effect to Tomas Hertl scoring the other night?
I'd like to believe there is.
Yeah, I do too.
I'd love to believe there is, because again, you're gonna get mad at me for saying this. I think you need more out of Hertl 5-on-5. I think you need more out of that line 5-on-5.
Because there's so much still to come from Tomas Hertl, and you're already having the offense go in a certain direction. That's really positive for the Vegas Golden Knights, that there's a space in the room to expand with Tomas Hertl's success. You're right. Barbashev was great. Again, when one guy's going good, it probably is compensating for another guy who's a little quieter. That's what they've got going here. Between, if you want to look at, it's like a relay race.
Sure.
Barbashev had the first leg. Howden's got the second leg. Who's going to have the third leg?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a way of looking at it, and I'm not going to shy away from the idea that when we've talked about the fourth line, you go back to the Utah series, they had 6 goals in 6 games. Now, I'm not expecting the fourth line for the Golden Knights to have 6 goals in 6 games or anything like that, but I do think you're going to need, at some point in this series, a big fourth line goal to help you win a game.
I feel like I need to put my arm around you, just give you a little. It's going to be all right, man.
I'm good, man. I'm honestly, I'm very good right now.
You remind me of post-game callers. Say, we need more here. We need more of that. You've been hanging around with Mike too much. I think we need to get you away from Mike.
That's not fair to Mike. Mike's a better guy than I am. I'll tell you that right now. I'm telling you that right now. He is a better guy than I am.
Do you and Mike phone each other during the day?
No, he doesn't call me.
Now, would you ever give Mike your number to
I
text you?
I like Mike. I saw him today. I talked to him today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're okay talking to him outside of the
it's fine with
post-game show?
Yeah, that's fine. It's never been weird. You wouldn't do it.
Because you guys talk a lot on the post-game show.
Every game. He's loyal. I'll take it.
Does Mike just listen to the radio, or does he watch it on TV too? Oh, I know he watches it a little bit on TV because he's mad about our playoff race.
I think he does both. I think he might listen and watch. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I'll ask him tonight.
Yeah.
There might be more important things to talk about,
Mike,
but I'll ask
I got
him.
a question for you. Mallard texts in and wants to know, do you watch on TV or do you just listen to it on the radio? We got a text question that you put out today.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm just kind of looking at what you are feeling going into game number 5, predictions that you might have for this game. It's pivotal, right? Like we know how important it is. As Daren pointed out, it's going to be the last game that is played in this series where a team isn't facing elimination. And Kim says 5-2 us. Jack will shoot and score. So there you go.
I like Jack's shot mentality right now. And there seems to be, just all in the same way as what we saw in Anaheim, there's loose pucks around the crease. Get it to the net. Make him handle it. Yeah,
Jay says Wild Bill 2 goals in a 5-3 Golden Knights victory. So feeling pretty good about scoring 5 goals tonight.
I'm not going to lie to you. There's been a couple of times where I thought, did Bill score that? Like
yes.
when you're watching on TV,
yeah.
Did he get that? And just waiting for this place to go crazy if he's able to score tonight with his line mates in Brett Howden and Mitch Marner. We'll take a break. We'll come back with the beat writer for the LV, RJ. It's Danny Webster coming up on the VGK Insider Show on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Hockey. Noun. Webster's dictionary defines hockey as a game played on an ice rink by 2 teams of 6 players on skates whose object is to drive a puck into the opponent's goal with a hockey stick. It's time to talk to Webster. Danny Webster, that is.
Dictionary Dan joining us as we come to you from T-Mobile Arena ahead of game number 5 between the Vegas Golden Knights and the Anaheim Ducks. He covers the Vegas Golden Knights for the RJ. You've watched every minute of this series. It's 2-2. It's each team has won in the other team's building. Who feels better about their game going into Game 5?
I think Anaheim. Honestly, I mean, if you're in a situation right now where you're in a best of 3 and you've got a chance to win a game tonight and go back to home ice for a chance to clinch Game 6, and it's a building that you've already won so far, you got to think Anaheim right now is feeling really good about its game right now. I think the Golden Knights have had good moments and spurts. Obviously, Game 3 was very good. But I think if you're in Anaheim, you're kind of playing with house money right now. You're 2-2. You're going back to a place that you've already won. You've shown that barn that you got back in Orange County is pretty electric. You win tonight, you go back into Thursday with a chance to clinch the series. You know, you're pretty much playing with house money. It's the same situation that Utah fared with in round 1, but the Golden Knights were able to take advantage and, you know, get home ice advantage back. So, but I think overall, when you look at the series, I think Anaheim's in a really good spot. I think they've been playing very well, and they've got a chance now to really make a statement in the series here.
I hadn't looked at it that way. I was more focused on play and the territorial advantages and some of the special teams. And we know Anaheim scored in Game 4, but the special teams have been owned by Vegas. That's an interesting angle, Danny.
Yeah, I just think when you get to this point now, you kind of throw the tactical stuff out the window, right? Like you're in the part of the series where the chess match has kind of been established to this point, and you just kind of look at it from, you know, who can generate momentum now and who has the will to win, I guess, in this kind of a situation. And, you know, the Golden Knights obviously have been there, done that before. They did it last series, and they went into Utah in Game 6 and closed the door. They have a similar situation that they can do it now. It's just a matter of who can play better and who can deliver the big moments at the big times. Anaheim's shown that they can do that so far. Now, after losing Game 4, it's on to the Golden Knights to do that going into Game 5 here.
You know, obviously, you kind of touched on it, that the Golden Knights were in a similar spot in the first round series against the Utah Mammoth. They put together a really strong performance in game number 5, and then they go on and win game number 6. The Ducks had a 3-1 series lead, so they were never really in that spot with a 2-2 series where you needed to come through with a really strong game to push the other team to the brink of elimination. So with all that being said, is there an experience the Golden Knights can lean on where, you know, the Anaheim Ducks, this is a new experience for them in a pivotal Game 5 that really can swing the series one way or another?
Yeah, I think so. I think when you look at the experience overall, you know, the Golden Knights having guys that have been there and done that, I think it helps them in this situation. It helped them, you know, last year against Minnesota. It helped them in the first round. They got to their game and they were able to, you know, eventually shut the door. And I think if you have that kind of experience, that does go a long way. I think the biggest difference now when you look at Anaheim is they have players that have been in this situation before as well. They've got guys that have played in playoff games. They've got guys that have helped lean their young guys into the right direction as this postseason has gone on. So you can definitely look at it either way. I think that, you know, the Golden Knights, I think that was their biggest advantage going into Game 5 last year against Utah. I think Anaheim can attempt to match that given the veterans that they have on their roster. So it's going to be a much tougher test, I think, this go around. But there's no doubt that you can rely on the experience from what you did in the last round. You can do it what you lean on in past series when it's been 2-2 and you figured out a way to close the door. So I think it definitely works in their favor, but it's going to be a much tougher test tonight.
Attrition is a part of this series for the Vegas Golden Knights. No Jeremy Lauzon or Mark Stone. How do you think they've handled it?
I think they've handled it well. I think on the back end, you obviously put Caden Korzak and you put Dylan Coghlan in very interesting spots, and they've come in and done well. And Coghlan now looks like he's going in again tonight. I think he's fared well, and it gives them another chance to utilize that shot on the third pairing, which I don't think he did a whole lot of in Game 4. So you kind of want to see if he can add to it in game 5 tonight, if you allow him to use his shot and get him going. But I do think that Mark Stone's absence obviously hurts. Like, it's not, it goes without saying, you don't have your captain, you don't have one of your best playmakers on the roster. It does hurt. And how the Golden Knights fare as far as not only replacing him on the power play, how they replace him on the top line, it is going to be a very interesting way that they handle this. So I think that they fared well on the back end as far as filling in the stopgap, and Ben Hutton going in as well. I forgot to mention him going in, playing well. But with Mark Stone, obviously it goes without saying how important of a loss that is.
You know, Danny, when you start to think about Mark Stone and the absence, a lot of the conversation has been about next man up, just finding ways to replace what Stone does, not with just one individual, but collectively as a group. When you start to think of it, William Karlsson's come in, he's given some tremendous minutes after missing 6 months. Jack Eichel's producing at a really high clip. Where does that second wave of production need to come from in order to mitigate the loss of Mark Stone?
I think you got to look at the bottom six. And, we talked about it a lot, how numbers-wise, production-wise, it just hasn't been there. And you kind of need them to kind of steer the ship a little bit from your bottom six. Fourth line did it in round one, not as much in round two. But you also hope that you look at the way Game 4 ended, Tomas Hertl finds a way to score, and you hope that that is the springboard, that is the catalyst to get him going in the right direction. It's obviously been since March 4th since he scored. So you hope that that is really the springboard to get him going. And if that's the case, that helps twofold. One, it helps him on the power play without Stone on the top unit. And two, it helps his line get going at 5-on-5. And now it looks like Colton Sissons and Keegan Kolesar are swapped spots tonight. We'll see if that stands in Warmos, but it looks like that's the way that the third line is going to go with Brandon Saad left there. So if that line can at least generate some sort of dangerous opportunity, that's going to go a long way, because it's going to take the pressure off the top guys. The Karlsson line has been tremendous since Karlsson and Marner have been put together, and that line has been cooking with gas. It's also going to alleviate the stress that you're going to have with Jack Eichel as he and Pavel Dorofeev and Ivan Barbashev try to get going. If that line of Saad and Sissons can get going and get constant production, then that is going to go a long way as far as where this game goes tonight. And I think the fact that Hertl found a way to pot one in Game 4, you got to think his confidence is slowly starting to get back.
I was watching the morning skate like you were this morning, and saw the adjustment with Sissons up there, and I'm not sure that it's going to carry over to tonight, or whether I was just catching them at the right time and they were involved in their rushes in that way. But it got me thinking that if you're going to tweak it, it might be the perfect time to do it. The fourth line was so impressive in the first round and has such an identity to themselves that I was leery about adjusting that group to try and get the third line going, taking Peter to pay Paul kind of thing. But after you saw the Hertl goal the other night, and he's feeling better about his game, maybe it's the perfect opportunity to slide up Colton Sissons and give that third line a little bit more of an offensive look.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that. I think it allows you to, one, it gives you another guy that you can take face-offs if need be, which I think is definitely helpful in that situation. But also, like you said, I think the way Sissons has played in this series, I thought he's been very good on the forecheck. I think he's been around the net. He's been kind of that, default net front guy on that fourth line that'll allow you to go into the dirty areas and kind of, clear up rebounds and things like that. But I also think, and kind of, going away from that for a second, I do think getting Keegan Kolesar on the fourth line is probably good for him. Just to play a direct north-south game. And I know he joked this morning about he doesn't believe in east-west. He only knows north-south. But when you're on that line and you're on a line that's going to hit everything in its path, it's probably a good thing for him to get his game going. Obviously, his minutes have kind of dipped a little bit, and I think that's had to do with special teams here and there. But I also think it's been a byproduct of maybe the overall numbers don't tell the whole story. I think getting Kolesar back on that line, getting him with Dowd and Smith, getting him going up and down the ice, I think that is a good way to get him going as well.
Danny, you never want to lose intensity in playoff hockey, but you look at the Golden Knights through the first 4 games of this series, they have taken 15 penalties. They've been shorthanded 15 times. How do they cut back on the amount of penalties that they're taking, just given the idea that you're not going to be able to kill off consistently 4 power plays a night every single night?
Yeah, I mean, that's the hard one, right? Because when you listen to the directive, essentially, from John Tortorella, he's always talking about playing aggressive and playing through mistakes. Well, in that sense, when you're playing aggressive, you're going to make mistakes and, get called for penalties. I think it goes hand in hand with that. Like, you can learn to play disciplined, but at the same time, if you're going to continue to play with that mindset, you got to find a way to dial it back, but you can't dial it back if you're not being aggressive. So it's kind of like the yin and the yang that doesn't make sense here. So I think that the easiest answer would be to play disciplined, understand the situation, don't try and be over aggressive in certain situations that can cause a trip, that can cause certain penalties, that stick infractions that you can probably avoid. But then you look at some of the penalties, the other night, McNabb gets called for a cross check that probably he shouldn't have been baited into, and that ends up going against him in that favor. But those penalties you can definitely cut back on if you play a smart, sound game and get away from the frustration of it all. You can absolutely cut back on those. It's the aggressive ones, it's the stick infractions, it's the trips, it's the the delay of games, the awareness.
Those are the careless penalties, right? Those are the careless penalties.
Yeah, those are the ones that you got to try and get away from. And if you're able to do that, then you're at least cutting it back to where you're, killing 2 instead of 4. And, obviously before Game 4, PK was doing really well. And you look at the couple of goals they gave up, it's a couple of bad bounces here and there. But all in all, obviously if you can cut away from those, then you're feeling a little bit better about how you want to play your game. It's just a matter of where can you dial back that aggression.
I think the penalty killing unit should still feel good about themselves because of you mentioned those bad bounces. It wasn't they weren't allowing cross seam passes and one timers from point blank range and that sort of opportunity from the Anaheim Duck power play. But as far as that yin and yang goes, I would far prefer this team to be aggressive and get whistled for being too aggressive than try to play it safer and that Anaheim Duck speed and skill gets cranked up. I don't want to see that at all. So I'll take my chances if the referees want to call it tight and adjust on the fly rather than take a more passive approach.
Oh yeah, I mean it'll definitely depend on the temperature of the game, right? Like if we're getting into the first 10 minutes tonight and there's been like 3 or 4 whistles and sending guys to the box left and right, then it becomes a mindset, I think, of how to dial it back and whatnot. But I think if the refs are going to let them call it, then yeah, you take your chances. You obviously can't let a guy like Leo Carlsson get out there in space. You can't let Cutter Gauthier and Beckett Seneca get free, using their speed. You got to find a way to contain them. You got to find a way to slow them down a little bit. And if it comes to playing a little rough here, playing a little tough there, then if you get away with it, then yeah, you're in good shape. I would agree with that.
Danny, through 4 games, what have you made of the goaltending matchup between Lukáš Dostal and Carter Hart?
I would say Hart has done well. I don't think it goes without saying there. I think that, games 1 through 3, I thought he was fantastic. I think game 4 was probably the one where he would like a few of those back. Dostal, I think, has been very good in stints. Then he had the rough game 3 where he got pulled after the first and kind of got called out by Joel Quenneville saying we kind of need some saves here. And it was also a combination of the effort of the guys in front of him. And he rebounded well. He rebounded well and played a great game 4, I thought. Made some really key saves in times where the Golden Knights could not get those. I would say it's a fairly even matchup right now. But I do think Hart has kind of had the slight edge just because when it's come down to the Golden Knights needing a save because Anaheim's been able to get up and down the ice at will at a number of times in this series, Carter Hart's been making the saves when they've counted. So I would give the slight edge to him just based on the timeliness of the saves that he's made and the magnitude of which he's made them.
How much of a story is Mitch Marner right now in the hockey world?
Very small.
Really?
I say that
joking.
I say that joking.
I was like, wow.
I say that joking.
But that was emphatic.
That
you
joke
got
fell
me.
So flat.
No,
that
was
flat.
amazing because it baited me right in. Good on you.
No, it's obviously, you scroll on social media, you watch the game broadcast. It's literally, it's such a talking point, right? Especially up in Toronto where, I won't even dive into it because we know we know. But it is a big story just based on, one, how well he's played. And he has played tremendous in the first 2 rounds. There's no question about that. And now that he's moved back to the wing, that is obviously a big help for him having William Karlsson as a centerman. I think that's a huge benefit. To me, if we're talking about if we're talking early, and I know we're 2 rounds away, but if we're talking about guys that are in the running for the Conn Smythe, as far as if the Golden Knights do end up getting there, Mitch Marner would have my vote. He's been that guy consistently throughout the entire postseason, and now he's starting to rev up his play. 4.9 in Game 3, 3.9 in Game 4. That kind of goes overlooked because the Golden Knights fell behind and couldn't get back to their game eventually before Anaheim kind of pulled away. But he's been tremendous. He's been great this entire series. He's been great for the majority of this postseason. And it is definitely a talking point and something that's going to be continuing for as long as the Golden Knights continue to play hockey this spring.
So, like on Marner, Tortorella mentioned, he talked about it, right, that there are a lot of little things that he does that the majority of people just do not give him credit for. What are some of those little things that Marner does night in and night out that helps his team win at this time of the year?
He just reads the ice so well. Like when he has the puck on his stick, he does a great job knowing where his guys are at. William Karlsson said it, I believe, after Game 3. He's the one that's kind of communicating out there. Usually you kind of have a centerman do that, but we know Will is a little bit more soft-spoken, right? So you have a guy in Mitch who is not afraid to, say what he wants to say out on the ice, and he's kind of been that driver a little bit, and he knows where his line mates want the puck. He's obviously established great chemistry with Brett Howden. We've seen that throughout the course of these playoffs. And now you have William Karlsson, who we know has a tremendous hockey IQ, who's a really smart centerman, smart 200-foot guy. And Mitch Marner can easily, know where those two are going to be on the ice. He has a great sense of where to put the puck. His stick battles, his stick checks in the defensive zone, they always go unnoticed. He does a great job with that. It's just a combination of just how he sees the game, how he views the game. I think you're starting to see that a little bit more as the playoffs go on, just how valuable that is. And now you add the scoring factor in it. It's a complete package that, we really didn't see a lot of in the regular season. But now that the playoffs are here and, the team is mostly fully healthy and now he's back to his primary wing spot, you're starting to see that a little bit more now.
Do you consider them 3 centers, though, on that line?
You kind of have to just by default, right? Because he played about
he played a ton of center this year.
Yeah, he played a ton of center this year, so you kind of have to do it. But I think in the grand scheme of things, I would constitute Marner as a traditional wing. But yeah, you can definitely make the case that if Karlsson gets kicked out of the circle for whatever reason and Howden gets kicked out shortly after, it's like, all right, Mitch, come on in. You're going to have to take a draw. At least you have confidence knowing that he can do that. So, technically speaking, yes, you absolutely could do that.
Thank you, Danny. Enjoy tonight, Game 5 back at T-Mobile Arena. An opportunity to enjoy a game without elimination stretches for a lot of people. We will be in that situation on Thursday night. Appreciate it, pal.
All right, guys. I'll see you there.
There's Danny Webster, who covers the Vegas Golden Knights for the Las Vegas Review-Journal. He got me good. He just dropped it, said, not at all. How big of a story, and stopped. I'm like, wow, and he said it so emphatically, with purpose, and I didn't expect that.
No,
and then they followed up. So that was good, impressive, Danny, and I enjoy that. I appreciate that, and I welcome it. Keep it coming. There's not even a competition going back and forth. I like that he was able to get me. We'll tee up this final 30 minutes. I was going to say the second hour, but it's the final 30 minutes of the VGK Insider Show. Tell you what's ahead, including one-timers, when we continue on Fox Sports Las Vegas. Good job, Danny.
You're listening to the VGK Insider Show.
Got one-timers, news and notes from around the National Hockey League coming up in the next half hour. We are shortened a little bit on today's episode of the VGK Insider Show. Earlier start time here at T-Mobile Arena for Game 5 between the Golden Knights and the Anaheim Ducks. So we'll squeeze everything in, including a visit with John Tortorella ahead of Game 5 and his media availability today. He had a couple of really cool things that he offered today, and almost like no, he's not motivating us, but if he's telling the guys in the room in the same type of inflection, I expect them to come out and play really well tonight, because there was a couple of offerings today that I thought, good on you all. Newt Rocky, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, I think I look at John Tortorella just based on what he's said and all the conversations that he's had about mindset and belief and, understanding what's important and what's at stake in these games. There's a lot to like about just the aspect of getting everybody in the right frame to go out and play. Like, it is not an easy time of year. We've touched on it a bit over the last couple of days that this team seems to have fun. They're relishing the moment, but that is not an easy thing to do when the stakes are so high.
What's a bigger special team story? The Anaheim Ducks getting a pair in Game 4, or the Golden Knights power play that has scored in 3 straight?
Yeah,
I mean, like that part's been overshadowed.
Yeah, it has been overshadowed. I think that I'll lean more toward the Golden Knights getting the consistency game over game from their power play, because that's been an area that I've wanted to see more from, and certainly I can't argue with the fact that it hasn't delivered in that regard. I do think it is interesting that the Ducks were able to break through on the power play. I don't necessarily feel like it's going to carry over. Like, I don't expect Anaheim to suddenly be 50% the rest of the series, or 40%, or even 30% the rest of the series, so I'll lean more toward Vegas.
There hasn't been a comeback in this series.
Okay. Yeah, no, I guess not.
A little surprising, given what we've seen and the ability for both clubs to score.
It is surprising.
First goal's been important.
In that, both teams, I think, have done a pretty good job of, when they've had a lead, making sure that it stands out. And, I think maybe we get that tonight. Maybe we get a lead change in this one. Maybe we get a comeback in this one.
The Ducks have impressed me with their commitment to defense. Mm-hmm. I'm waiting for Vegas to be able to see a crack in that and exploit them a little bit. Will that be tonight? We'll see. Game 4 was the closest game of the series, the only one-goal game of the series. So we'll hear from John Tortorella in just a little bit. We'll also dig into the only other game on the Stanley Cup playoff slate. That's coming up on the VGK Insider Show on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Live from above the rink at T-Mobile Arena, this is the VGK Insiders Show with Daren Millard and Ryan Wallace on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Positioned in the press box at T-Mobile Arena, looking down just shy of the goal that the Golden Knights will protect for 2 of the 3 periods tonight. It is game number 5 between the Anaheim Ducks and the Vegas Golden Knights. This best-of-7 series tied up at 2. The winner tonight moves within a victory of advancing to the Western Conference Final. It's starting to get real, that time period where you're transitioning from the excitement of the playoffs to getting into a rhythm to the grind is great, but you also can see something possible just out of reach.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say light at the end of the tunnel, but there's opportunity in front of the Golden Knights here with a couple of really good games. They're on their way to another Western Conference Final, and at that point, you're part of the Final Four. You are halfway to the ultimate goal, and then it becomes very much a real thing in front of you. So, obviously, you got to get there first. You got to find 2 more wins over the next 3 potential games to get to that point, but even then, you're just halfway. That's what makes the Stanley Cup the hardest trophy to win.
This has been a fun series to watch from a Golden Knights perspective. The Braden McNabb change-up goal was outstanding the other day. I love seeing that because he does it so often in practice, and it's such a hard shot to read, but you never go, oh, that could come in handy in a Stanley Cup playoff game. He pulled it out, and he executed on it. Shea Theodore, his D partner, also scored the other night. You've got Tomas Hertl finding the back of the net. What's the impact of that late goal in Game 4 going to be going forward? Where there's 1, there's 5 out of Pavel Dorofeev. He found the net in Game 4. And then you've got the Brett Howden-Mitch Marner combination. And Mitch Marner leads the Stanley Cup playoffs in scoring going into tonight. It's not just that. I'm going to give you a list, and be patient with me here. This is a list of the categories that Marner leads or co-leads the NHL during the 2026 Stanley Cup playoffs.
Okay.
Points at 16. Primary assists at 7. Shorthanded points at 3. Multi-point games, he has 4. He's tied for the lead. 3-point games, he has a trio of them. 4-point games, he has 1, tied for the most. Multi-goal games, 2. Game-winning goals, a couple. Hat-tricks, 1. And road goals at 5. So go through that, and that's a pretty extensive list. 10 different categories that Mitch Marner, halfway through the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, is leading or tied for the lead in these offensive categories.
Yeah, wow. I mean, that's a lot. It's exhaustive in the sense that it's across the board for Marner. It has been tremendous performances. It has been big-time performances inside of individual games. It's been shorthanded. It's been on the power play. It has been, making the final play with that primary assist metric that you were tracking as well. I mean, there's no area of the game that Mitch Marner isn't touching for the Golden Knights right now.
It goes even deeper, and this is courtesy of NHL.com and their Edge Stats, which is very deep into the analytics. High danger offense. Now, this is, depending on which service you use, can be different data. But Marner right now, by the National Hockey League's service, is tied for the NHL lead in high danger goals with 4. And that blows away anything else he's done in previous Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah.
So far this postseason, his offensive zone time percentage is up 5% over his previous time in the Stanley Cup playoffs. His skating speed, he set the fastest playoff max skating speed of the puck and player tracking era in Game 6 of the first round. So fastest playoff max skating speed at 22 miles per hour, 21.7.
Oh, wow.
Now, think about that. When you're in your car, because I do this on the bike, I look and go, it doesn't sound fast, but I'm going pretty good.
Yeah.
Next time you're in your car or you're on your bike and you're going 22 miles per hour and go, Mitch Marner skating that fast.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to fathom, like really, when you're kind of thinking about it in that regard, because you're not just skating that fast, but you're either holding or possessing the puck or looking to make a play. So it's not just that you're moving that fast.
You're making decisions.
You're moving that fast. You're making decisions. You've got a processor going, It's unreal. It's unbelievable what these athletes can do, and specifically what Marner's done.
And Mitch can skate, but we kind of overlook the speed part of his games because of his incredible edge work.
Yeah, I think that it's deceptive with Marner in certain ways. Like he's not like McDavid. He doesn't move like McDavid. He doesn't move like McKinnon, where there's frenetic energy and there's a little bit of chaos specifically when it comes to McKinnon. But Marner's able to move and motor when he needs to, and it's just part of what makes him such a dynamic player.
I sum up Mitch Marner this way. He turns fast. And not just like stops and starts and pivots and the great edge work, but when he circles in zone, he does that arc in a really fast velocity.
Yeah, it picks up speed in that situation, and it allows him to create separation in other parts of the ice because he's able to do that.
There was a great commentator in Canada over the years calling track and field, and always before the 100 final, you'd hear so-and-so, Ryan Wallace, not known for his speed, but very, very fast. It's kind of Mitch Marner.
Yeah, kind of the same thing.
It was always funny. Before every 100-meter final, either the Olympics or the national championship, there was always one guy not known for his speed, but very, very fast. You're like, well, why else would he be in here?
Yeah.
In this. Let's get to John Tortorella's media availability from this morning. Torts talking ahead of Game 5.
Is Mark Stone or Jeremy Lauzon playing tonight?
Both out.
Both out. Are either skating?
Both out.
Okay.
I know you talked about how home ice can kind of be skewed. Team gets closer together when they're on the road. I'm curious what is the messaging to the team to utilizing the energy, especially early on in a Game 5?
Yeah, we don't talk about the crowd in our meetings. We're getting ready to play the game. How we see fit, our in-between days and our morning meetings about what we did good, what we did not so good, and trying to correct and trying to be the best we can be. Not so much about anything else.
Torts, as you get into the guts of these series, is your experience over the years, is it more of a grind mentally, physically? Is it kind of hybrid of the two as you get in deeper and deeper into the playoffs, into these series?
You know, when you have a series 2-2, I think... I don't think I think it's energy. I think the energy is going to be high. This is where the players like to play in these type of games, and where it's scrutinized, it's more high stakes now as far as basically a 3-game series. I don't think there'll be any problem with energy or mental fatigue or anything like that. I think it'll be the other way.
Anything else for Torts? Yeah, Vince.
Just that sense of calm from the group in these moments, in these high stakes moments. Where do you notice it the most? Is it on the bench? Is it prior to the game starting? Where have you seen it?
Everywhere. It's an experienced group. I think it's a group that self-assesses very well. So everywhere, our meetings, the conversations we have with players. So I'm not sure what the result's going to be tonight. Our team is ready to play.
That last line, that got me. That's one where if you are at all a Vegas Golden Knight fan, casual or deeply embedded, that's got you standing up going, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the last time that John Tortorella said our team's ready to play, they scored a goal a minute and 12 seconds into a game in Utah. So if that's what you have to look forward to, if that's the expectation, if that's what ready to play means under John Tortorella, then I'm expecting a very, very good start out of the Golden Knights tonight.
So we have a slight adjustment on the fourth line this morning during the skate at City National Arena. Saw Colton Sissons taking rushes with Tomas Hertl on that line. Keegan Colasar going down to the fourth line with Nick Dowd and Cole Smith.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a lot of ways, Colton Sissons has had some really good offensive moments at times throughout the season, but more so in the postseason. And with Hertl now scoring a goal and just being able to relax a little bit on that side, because he wants to be productive for this team. That's part of what he brings to the table. Maybe you give him a little bit more of juice offensively with Sissons on the right side. Brandon Saad, we know he can skate. They've had chemistry in the past, Saad and Hurdle. So maybe it's something that can kind of, again, spark the production out of that line the way that you'd like them to.
Teams have alternated wins in this series. Should be the Golden Knights' turn tonight.
Yeah, I mean, if the pattern holds, right, obviously they're a pattern until it's broken. And I think for Vegas, the start's going to be incredibly important. I really do believe that. I think setting the tone, we've talked about this team when they're on their front foot, when they're being more aggressive, when they're controlling the pace of play, they are just a better team, generally speaking. And, Anaheim, I would make the argument the first two games here in Vegas, they were the team more on the front foot. A lot of that aided by penalties, specifically in game number 2. But I think for the Golden Knights, you want to be the team that comes out and dictates play.
I'm hoping to see a physical approach to the Golden Knights game tonight.
Mm-hmm.
You're into game 5. Some of what you've done early on in this series starts to build up in and around the middle of a series. So 4, 5, 6, 7. You can make some withdrawals on those deposits that you made physically, but keep on that. This is an Anaheim Duck core group that's never done this before, and they're experiencing what it is to be entering the grind stage of the Stanley Cup playoffs. I'm hopeful to see a return or a more physical or a continued physical style of play from the Golden Knights.
There really is a lot riding on this one, because for Anaheim, they never faced elimination in round number 1. They didn't play a game like this where they, a loss puts them into an elimination scenario or, something of that nature. And I think for the Golden Knights, they have been a physical team through the first 2 rounds of the postseason. It did start to weigh on Utah in the back half of the first round, and the Golden Knights were able to get more to the inside. They were able to create more of those plays because of the physicality. So if they can use that to their advantage against Anaheim, I think that there will be defensive zone breakdowns because of it.
And I know people will say, but the penalty part.
Yeah.
Well, these guys have played physical hockey their entire lives. You got to be conscious. But sometimes when you play physical, you're going to be called for penalties. You have to live with that part of it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't necessarily want the Golden Knights to drop the intensity for the sake of trying to be more disciplined. I don't think that that's the way to win. I don't think that that's the way to play. It is a weird situation that one of the least penalized teams in the regular season is finding themselves in the box 3.5 to 4 times every single night. But you know what? You've got a really good penalty kill. Even though the Anaheim Ducks scored a pair of power play goals in game number 4, I don't think that it was more about what Anaheim did. I think they got a couple of really nice bounces. So in that respect, I don't want the Golden Knights to throttle down their intensity just because you want to take maybe 1 or 2 less penalties. Be disciplined, but don't take that at the expense of intensity.
Jared, let's roll it to get to some other happenings around the National Hockey League.
Carlson left corner, centered, one-timer, score!
It's time for One-Timers. A quick look at news and notes from around the National Hockey League, brought to you by Paul Pata Law. It's not about the injury, it's about the recovery.
Boy, that Jared Justice is good. Just waiting for the toss. Montreal Canadiens, Buffalo Sabres, the other game that's happening in the Stanley Cup playoffs tonight. This is game 4, with the Montreal Canadiens recording back-to-back wins to lead it 2-1. Buffalo has not looked good in the last couple, but their head coach, Lindy Ruff, was very confident this morning. Actually came out and disputed one of the questions about Montreal's speed advantage in this series and said, hey, I looked at the analytics in games 2 and 3. We were the faster team. I don't think he did. I think he was just saying that. But this is a pivotal game for Montreal Canadiens. Can take a 3-1 series lead, or it's all tied up at 2. They are in the first intermission at Bell Center, and the Montreal Canadiens have erased a 1-0 deficit by scoring 2 goals in the back half of the period. Alex Newhook and Cole Caulfield to take the 2-1 lead. The Cole Caulfield go-ahead goal coming with 13 seconds to go. Now, there were some interesting moments in this game. It looked like Buffalo had actually scored to take a 2-0 lead, but that goal was called back for goalie interference. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is the goaltender of record tonight for the Buffalo Sabres as Buffalo changes up its netminders.
Which it makes a lot of sense, right? Like the Canadians scored a bunch of goals on Alex Lyon over the last couple of games. You have that opportunity to make a switch to Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, and it's more of the same, though. Like, you look at the shots on goal, and it doesn't tell the entire story, but the Buffalo Sabres had 12 shots to Montreal's 7. It does feel like just from that metric alone, it was a better period, or should have been a better period for the Buffalo Sabres, but there's something about the Montreal Canadiens. They just find a way, and they take a lead now to the second period.
It looks like it might be a bit of a letdown in that second-round series coming out of the Central. All the talk the entire season was it's going to be a battle to get through that thing. The big key was finishing first for Colorado. They avoided Dallas or Minnesota in the first round, dealing with the Wild in the second round, and it's a 3-1 advantage for Colorado, who just basically brushed off the Wild last night.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. It gives you an idea of just how good Colorado is. Minnesota's been pretty good in this series. The Wild 9-6 game was a really fun start to what should have been, or what could potentially still be, a long series. But Minnesota, like, they've created some looks. It's just that Colorado's a player two better, and they're a player two better consistently night over night. It shouldn't feel as hopeless. I should give Minnesota more opportunity to come back in this series. It just doesn't feel like it's going to happen.
Outside of the current Stanley Cup playoffs, you have a big suspension coming over to Charlie McAvoy, who was handed a 6-game penalty, which will be served at the start of next year. That was in response to a play that occurred in their first-round series. Charlie McAvoy getting up and slashing Zach Benson. 6 games okay with me on this one.
Yeah, I mean, it was a nasty play.
It was really nasty.
It was a nasty play. So 6 games is quite a bit. It's obviously, going to be a scenario where you're sitting for a while. But I'm good.
NHL took their time with this one too.
Yeah, good for them too, right? Like it's a important one. It happens in the playoffs. It happens with tensions incredibly high. But at the end of the day, you can't do that. So you're going to have to sit some games, and it would have been interesting if the Boston Bruins moved on to the Stanley Cup playoffs, what that suspension would have looked like if you had to make it sooner.
Generally, it's a 2-to-1 ratio.
2-to-1, so 3 games, 3 playoff games?
I might have gone 4 with this one.
Okay. I mean, then maybe 8 should have been the number. Maybe 10. Maybe we're in that ballpark.
I will give Lindy Ruff all the credit in the world. After that play, he didn't rant and rave and skewer Charlie McAvoy, who hit one of his players. He said the guy's a hard player, plays the game on a physical style, crossed the line there, and that was it. But I thought it was handled really well by the Buffalo Sabres head coach. We got a couple of updates. Charlie Coyle, 6-year extension to stay with the Columbus Blue Jackets. That's good for that team's core. He was not shied away or frightened by the late season comments by his head coach. So it looks like Charlie Coyle is on board with Rick Bowness.
I mean, what is it, $36 million? So you'll take that all day long. And the Rick Bowness thing, like, he cares, right? And you've got a coach in there now that wants to change the culture. Charlie Coyle, by virtue of this contract extension, is a part of that culture, and he's choosing to stay there, right? So obviously he wants to be a part of the change, the positive change with the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Owen Tippett didn't play for the Flyers in the second round series, suffering from internal bleeding during the course of that set against the Carolina Hurricanes. Said he didn't feel 100%. It was a day-to-day thing, or 2 days after would have been Game 6, and he wasn't sure what he was going to be able to eventually get back in, but he was just dealing with something that just didn't clear up in time.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy. Obviously, like, you know, you're dealing with things that are going on inside of your body that you can't pinpoint. You can't like exactly look at and say, okay, this is better, this is healing, this is moving in the right direction. So obviously unfortunate for him that he wasn't able to play, but you know, obviously a good scenario that he got the medical attention and was able to take care of himself the way that he needed to.
He was skating at times, but could never get
back to baseline, right?
Over the edge. By the way, World Championships coming up. Matthew Barzal battling an injury, previous injury. He is coming home from Team Canada's squad. But Sidney Crosby is going to play.
Okay. All right.
Macklin Celebrini is the captain.
Yeah.
Sid was just added to the team, joined the team. I wonder if Macklin gives the C up. I would.
You would?
No right or wrong there, but it's Sid joining the team.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I would probably give it up too, but it's pretty wild that, like, you know, with Ryan O'Reilly and John Tavares there, then Macklin Celebrini's the captain. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know.
I don't mind that. But
I don't either.
Sid.
Sidney is Captain Canada until he's not playing hockey anymore. So I guess Macklin might settle for being an alternate. Maybe.
I'm going to head out to the Mez level. We're going to do the TV pregame show over there.
Oh, wow.
Triple-digit temperatures.
Ooh.
Who complains more, Millard, Gaucher, or Nidy?
You.
I'm not a complainer when it comes to TVM.
Really?
I'm surprised you say that. I'm disappointed in that.
Who do you think?
Gaucher.
Gaucher?
Yeah.
I don't think Dave's a complainer.
Oh, you need to spend some more time around him. You just hook up with him on the phone all the time.
We have great conversations that way. It's amazing.
Yeah. Boy, oh boy, we need to show you that. I'm just kidding, Dave. Love you, man. Game 5, T-Mobile Arena, the pregame show between the Ducks and the Vegas Golden Knights coming up on Fox Sports Las Vegas with Ryan Wallace. Stay with it. Wall-to-wall coverage of the Vegas Golden Knights in the Stanley Cup run on Fox Sports Las Vegas.